Is the court, my lord. Good morning again, Brigadier.
Good morning, Advocate Mnisi.
Thank you. Now, before we proceed on our last aspect, I just want to take, I want us to take a journey back a few miles. You told the court that the reason why you did not use this form XX that was exhibited at court was because there were no proper, there were no such instructions that you should use it from the state. Number two, if my memory serves me well, you indicated that there were no specific directives that when one interviews a suspect or a person in relation to a particular case, this specific form must be used, and that on top of that, there are various forms that have been used at the police station, to which you also made an offer that you could bring some of those forms here at court so that we can go through or see ourselves that what you see is correct, that there were various forms that are used.
Before you respond, be reminded that they're still under oath.
Yes, noted, my lord. My lord, so let me start with the last part. Yes, I did offer that I can bring different forms, warning statements, SAP, 3M, which I got the feeling that it was not accepted. That's the first part.
Mangizoqala ke la kulona ugcina ke umbuzo bengishilo ke ukuthi ke ngalekelela ke ukuthi ngize ke nama form ahlukene ke la enkantolo ukutshengisa ke lokho bengikhuluma ngako ama SAP 3M ama warning statement kodwa ke engikutholile ke ngithole ke ukuthi noma ngizwe ukuthi ke akwamukelekile lokho.
And I do confirm, my lord, that I said they are different. There is no prescribed. So the correct context was that there is no one specific warning form in terms of a booklet, like the one that Advocate Mnisi referred me to. There are different ones which are currently in use. And this exercise of bringing them, my lord, was to show that this is not the only warning form that is available in the SAPS.
Nokuthi ke ngishilo ukuthi ke kunama form ahlukahlukene ke asetshenziswayo ke uma kuza ke kwistatement lezixwayiso noma ke ama warning statement, ingakho ke bengishilo ukuthi ke ngingeza nawo ukukhombisa nokutshengisa ukuthi ke ama police station ke ngokwahlukana akusetshenziswa iform eyodwa noma le abekhuluma ngayo yena ke Advocate Mnisi.
Secondly, my lord, I did not say when it comes to the interview of accused 2 specifically that I chose not to use this form. I was responding to the questions that were flowing from the form that I was referred to say this specific form says there must be an interaction between the police and the prosecution, and therefore after that you go and then obtain the warning statement. So it was flowing in that aspect, but insofar as my interaction with accused 2, I said I didn't complete the form. I made it very clear as early as last year, my lord, that there was no warning statement completed at that time when I interviewed him for the first time. However, at a later stage, a warning statement was taken from him.
Kodwa ke futhi ke ukuthi umbuzo noma uthi ke ngenze ngendlela thizeni ke uma kufikelela ke na ke umsola wesibili ke naloko ngikuphendulile ke ukuthi ke kwakunganyaka ondluleke ngisho ukuthi ke leyo form angiyisebenzisanga ke kuyena noma ke angaze ngiyigcwaliseke nokuthi ngiyibhale, kodwa kwamuva ke sengiphinda ngiba nenhlolo khona naye ke ila khona ke istatement noma ke warning statement ngayithatha kuyena.
And then last, thirdly, my lord, is that indeed I did say that when police conduct interviews, I even referred to the mere interviews that are conducted by the police when they conduct arrest on the street, my lord. I even said at that stage, be it as detective members or uniform members, they will never have such a form. They will conduct an interview with the suspect in question. They may follow up certain things that he say, which may lead to the discovery of evidence. Then that form will not be available only when the person is detained and now is being prepared to be processed, for court, or there's that directive by the NPA. Then the form gets then completed.
Nokuthi ke uma ukuthi ke umuntu uhlangana ke namaphoyisa ke noma ke amaphoyisa akhulumisana naye noma ukuthi ama detectives labo bagqoke iuniform ke uma bekhulumisana naye ke ayikho iform lapho ke akukho lapho na ke izogcwaliswa khona ke kodwa kamuva ke uma sekukuthi manje umuntu kufanele ayovalelwa ke itoxini uselungiselela futhi ukuthi ayobingelela imantshi nokuthi sewukhona ke umlomo obuya kubonaka beshushisi ilapho na ke manje leyo form leyo uzothi ingene khona ke.
Now, my lord, a practical example, which is something that has been discovered or disclosed to the defense, in particular, I'll go specifically to the one that relates to Advocate Mnisi's line, so that he will understand that this
Mr.
example.
Gininda, if I want examples, I'll request you to give examples. I don't mind if you're going to speak about accused number 3. We will come and deal with this case. But Penn speaking about accused number 3, when I get into his case, I specifically asked you the question that I asked you. Now, what is the necessity of you to try and give an example?
Of course, it relates to the question of whether this form can be used at the initial part of the interview, my lord. And I wanted to be specific because there is an incident where there was.
So you're basically saying, Mr. Gininda, can you please not argue with me? If there's a point that you want to argue, request you to argue it through the state. The state is here to present your case on your behalf to the court. You don't argue with me. Because there are so many things that I'm going to raise with you and not be able to answer them in terms of argument. That is the procedure here at court. I don't have to argue with a witness, and the witness don't have to argue with the counsel. If there's an argument that needs to be put before court, it should be through the state. Do you understand?
Mr. Court, please, my lord, I think that is unfair regarding He's trying to elaborate, draw parallel between the question that is being asked and what happened in this case, just to try and demonstrate the answer. There's nothing wrong. We submit that there's nothing wrong with it, my lord. He should be entitled to elaborate on his answer, just to draw parallel to explain his point.
Let's say
Yes, my lord. So my lord, I'm saying in what we've discovered, just to illustrate this point clearly and with factual evidence. Now we've disclosed Cleveland case 96 of 2015. Advocate Mnisi is aware of it. In that docket, it is clear if you go with, I won't go to the merits, but I'm just going to focus on this warning form, warning statement, which is similar to the booklet that Advocate Mnisi is showing us, my lord. That
that is irrelevant, man. You're not talking about Cleveland case here. That is irrelevant. Now the court wants to hear irrelevant evidence.
It's not irrelevant because it's
No,
talking
it is
about
irrelevant.
form
We're speaking about Cleveland
No,
case,
for
which
me-
is not part of this proceeding.
It's not irrelevant because he's talking about a form which he testified to say that there is no single form applicable. There
Okay,
are
thank
several
you.
examples of these forms.
Thank you.
And then he wants to give you an example which he quotes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now, my lord, I'm saying in that which we've disclosed, my lord, I'm referring it to because I know we've disclosed it to the defense. Accused, it's alleged in that form in the docket. Accused 3 was interviewed. He came into contact with the police on the 9th of February 2015, where he interacted with the police, and subsequently it's alleged that firearm and ammunition was found. If you look at the
Now, you
activities.
see, that is the irrelevant, my brother. That is irrelevant. Now, Mr. Gininda says it is alleged that he was interviewed. Now, he's talking about hearsay. That's the irrelevant part of it that I'm speaking about, my lord. And the court said, let him explain.
Yeah, ask any questions, Mr. Mnisi. I will ask you when it's being taken through cross-examination by all of you. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. So, Brigadier Gininda, you basically saying that the usage of this form XX starts to play a role when a suspect is being prepared to go and appear before a magistrate. In other words, the first time that these forms gets used, it's when the suspect, after having been interviewed in so many ways, first time that this form gets to be used is when you are now preparing to take him to court.
No, my lord, that's not what I said. And can I ask, my lord, that Mr. Mnisi give me an indulgence to explain my answers, because my answers relate as to how he asked me the question. You see, like the part that is putting now is not what I said. And when I elaborate what I've said, it will look like now I'm venturing into issues he didn't ask. Can I ask him just to be patient, because I'm only going to motivate or explain insofar as what he asked me, my lord, not out of that terrain. So if he can just be patient with me as I am. When he puts questions to me, I don't interject. But it seems there's this intention to confine. You see, my lord, this is what I'm talking about, my lord. I'm not done saying my part. Mr. Mnisi is interjecting. I'm not so sure how far we can take this. My lord, I've explained. I've said, when this form gets completed, the first part to say it's when the suspect or a person is processed before the appearances. That's that part. But I've also indicated that when there's a directive from the prosecutor, when the prosecutor says to you during the course of the investigation, go and obtain a warning statement or this explanation from this person. This is now before a decision is taken to prosecute a person. Then the form will be completed. So I didn't only refer to one part, which is the assertion I'm being given now, my lord.
Engikushilo-ke mina ukuthi uma-ke le form-ke isisetshenziswa-ke nanjengoba manje mina-ke nginikezwa nje okodwa, kodwa mina ngisho okubili-ke ukuthi ilakhona-ke kulungiselelwa khona-ke umsolwa sekuwukuthi-ke manje ngaphambi kokuthi-ke ayo-ke enkantolo. Okwesibili-ke uma kuwukuthi-ke kukhona-ke okubuya noma okushiwo umshushisi-ke ukuthi hamba uyothola lokhu kulo muntu, noma-ke yilapho-ke manje leso statement noma leyo warning statement leyo izongena khona.
Thank you. Now, let me get you one. The time at which this form, according to you, is to be used is when the prosecutor says or gives instructions that you need to go, that the police needs to go and take a warning statement from the suspect. That is instance number one. Instance number two, it is used when the suspect is being prepared or being processed to go to court. Did I get you right there?
Yes, those two, or when the police stately, my lord, are of the view that now they will want to present the matter to the prosecution. That is in an instance where you've conducted an investigation, like in this instance, my lord, specifically to this matter. I've completed the form before, in relation to the accused, before the matter was presented to the DPP. So those are the instances that when the matter is presented, then the DPP then will have an insight of what the accused or the suspects are saying in relation to this matter.
Iloko kokubili ngikushilo uma welungiselela ukuthi ezeyobingelela-ke imanje nokuthi-ke nabashushusi sebeshilo ukuthi bangafisa ukuthi bathole lokhu. Lokwesithathu-ke nokuthi-ke manje uma usuthi-ke icala leli-ke noma-ke khona kuzokubhala nanjengoba nami ngenza-ke kule cala leli ubhalela kubona-ke abeshushisi noma ukuthi-ke usuyokwethula-ke icala leli kubona-ke.
So according to you, those are the instances at which these forms comes into play or is being used.
Yeah, but I'm not saying, my lord, is the only one. You evaluate each situation on its merit. But these ones, yes, are what you will actually look into. Because like I said, the third one, it's something that I embarked on. The other one is in preparation, before the appearances, because an accused person or a suspect can't appear before the form is completed. The third one that I referred to is when the prosecutor asks you to do that. But obviously each matters varies, my lord.
Yebo iloko-ke engikushoyo-ke kodwa awukwazi nje ukuthi uncike nje kuloko ukuthi yikona lokho kokuthatha kuphela-ke ngoba-ke ubheka-ke isimo kodwa nanjengoba nami-ke ngenza-ke lana ngenza ngale ndlela engenza ngayo nokuthi futhi-ke umsolwa akakwazi-ke ukuthi angayobingelela-ke imantshi leyo form leyo ingekagcwaliswa.
Thank you. Is it further shown that Gininda that you also told the court that there are no specific directives with regard to which form should be used, because as you mentioned, there are so various forms at various police stations which they can use. Is that what you said?
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. Absolutely not.
Say?
I've said, my lord, there is no prescribed, there is no specific form. The instruction that a warning statement must be used is there, but there is no specific prescription that says this form. For example, the booklet that Advocate Mnisi gave to me, is the only form that must be used when it relates to the warning statement. So I'm referring to the form, not that there's no directive that the warning statement must be used. It's not what I've said.
Angishongo ukuthi cha akukho okulawulayo noma ke okuwumthetho ukuthi akwenziwe lokhu. Yebo ukhona umthetho showona ukuthi i-warning statement kufanele ithathwe. Kodwa engakhulumi noma engasho ukuthi leya form angitshengise yona advocate Mnisi ukuthi iyona kuphela noma yile ekufanele ukuthi kube iyona esetshenziswayo.
Mr. Gininda, dear Gininda, understand my question. I am asking you, according to you, there is no specific instruction or a directive that says that it is only this form that must be used when an interview with a suspect must be conducted.
Yeah, I understood your question differently, my lord, but my answer is simple, my lord, as I've said.
Mr. Gininda,
can I finish my...
Before you answer, do you understand my question? Before you answer, do you understand my question?
My lord, can I be given an opportunity to answer?
Do you understand my question, Mr. Gininda, yes or no? So that I can explain it or I can repeat it. Because I don't want you to understand something, to answer something that I did not say. Because I've just heard you now that you are repeating my question in a way that I did not ask it.
Can the witness be allowed to answer? How can it be asked whether he understands the question before he has even ventured a response? The witness should first be given the opportunity to give an answer.
Let me repeat my question, Mr. Gininda, Brigadier Gininda. According to you, there is no specific policy or a directive or instruction which says that this particular form that we are using is not the only form that should be used in an instances where there is an interview with a suspect.
My lord, I thought I was answering that. According to the national instruction, maybe let me be specific, not according to me. I don't own the SAPS, my lord. According to the national instruction, and I can refer to that if that is needed. We can adjourn, or during tea time and refer to the specific standing order. There is no prescribed or a specific warning statement to say this particular warning statement is the only one that you can use when you take a warning statement. That's what I've said before, my lord. It's what I've been saying before. And if my recollection, my lord, previously last year I was asked by Advocate Baloyi to assist with our legal services to provide such a standing order that confirms that there is no prescribed, and I did that, my lord. So we're doing the same exercise again.
Mina-ke siyena-ke noma-ke isiphoyisa-ke sona-ke esami kodwa-ke kubizwa ngokuthi-ke i-national order ekuyiyona-ke ekhipha-ke imithetho. Ngingalekelela ngeza nawo-ke unyaka ondlule sikwenzile-ke lokho sichaza kona-ke lokhu ukuthi-ke akukho nje kuthizeni okuchaza ukuthi yilena kuphela iform ekufanele ukuthi kube yiyona esetshenziswela i-warning statement.
So you're saying according to a national instruction, because it do not own SAPS, there is an indication, or in terms of the national instruction that you're referring to, there's an indication that this should not be the form that should be used, as there are other forms as well that can be used when an interview with a suspect is done.
No, but that's not what I'm saying, my lord. I'm being quoted out of context. I did not say the national instruction says that form must not be used. That's not what I've said. I'm saying the national instruction is saying there is no prescribed form. There is no specific form in the warning statements that can be used. In other words, there is no, I don't know how to explain it, my lord. There is no form where the instruction says this is the only form that you must use when you take a warning statement. Not that that form must not be used. It's not what I've said, my lord.
Angishongo ukuthi leyana action-ke kufanele ingasetshenziswa kodwa angithi akukho la kusho khona ukuthi yile noma kuneform thizeni ekuyiyona kuphela ekufanele ukuthi isetshenziswe.
Thank you, Brigadier. And you said you made that national instruction available to the state.
Yes, I was asked then by the state during that time, and I engaged with our legal services. It was communicated to the state advocate, my lord.
Ngiceliwe-ke kunyaka ondlule uyena-ke umshushisi ukuthi-ke angikhulume-ke nalabo-ke bezomthetho emaphoyiseni ukuthi-ke basize-ke ngakwenza-ke lokho kunyaka ondlule.
My question is, you then made available that national instruction to the state.
But that's what I said, my lord. I just answered that.
Yilokho engiqeda ukuphendula-ke manje ngibuza kona ukuthi-ke ngaba ningawunika yini umbuso.
As it pleases the court, my lord, I'm going to request through the court that the state assist us or give us a copy of that national instruction. Thank you, my lord. And further on, Brigadier Gininda, I note that when you made an offer to make available those other forms that might be used in an interview with the suspect, I said to you, that might not be necessary. But subsequent to the discussion that we had now and the making availability of that national instruction, if you don't mind, and with the leave of the court, I'm going to request you to make available those forms to us, the defense, if you can. Thank you. Let's play your offer.
My lord, as we said by the leave of the court, if the court asked me to do that lately, I offered initially and it was rejected. Now I'm being asked to do it again. Let I'll do it, my lord. I offered on my own, precisely to remove this suspicion and this misunderstanding. That's what I was trying to avoid. Now we are here again. But yes, my lord, I will assist. By tomorrow, I'll have such forms available, my lord.
Bekuyinto-ke ebize nami-ke bengishilo ukuthi ngingalekelela-ke kodwa-ke kwanqatshelwa-ke kodwa manje sesibuyela khona lapho kodwa uma kuwukuthi inkantolo ithi-ke angize nawo-ke lawo mafomu ngizokwenza-ke lokho kusasa.
Thank you. Now let us proceed from where we ended on Friday. Now you told this court that you did not know how Mr. Mchiyako get to know about accused number 2's incarceration. So
that is correct, my lord.
So iqiniso ngishilo ukuthi-ke angazi ukuthi umjiyako wazi kanjani ukuthi umsolo wesibili wayeboshiwe.
And you further told this court that you received a call from the police station wherein they informed you that there's an attorney who wants to consult with accused number 2, and that was Mr. Mchiyako. And you quickly ran to the police station and you found Mr. Mchiyako.
That is correct, my lord.
Ngasho nokuthi-ke ngathola ucingo oluyi-police station ukuthi kwakunommeli owayelapho-ke impela-ke ngaphuthuma ngaya khona e-police station ngamthola elapho Mr. Mchiyako.
And did you ask him how he knew about the fact that accused person has been arrested, accused number 2?
No, my lord. There's what you call attorney-client privilege. I can't venture into that. It's not my terrain. There's no way I would have asked him that, my lord.
Akukho la ngangambuza khona-ke ukuthi wakwazi kanjani ukuthi wayeboshiwe umsolo wesibili khona-ke lokho ukuthi-ke kuphakathi kommeli kanye futhi naloyo ammele-ke ngangekhe ngiwubuze loyo mbuzo loyo.
And furthermore, my lord, it is the accused's constitutional rights or any suspect to appoint or engage any attorney that he so chooses. So it's not for me to interrogate that, unless if during the time when I was giving him his constitutional rights, he says to me, I need an attorney, a legal representative through the state's, at the state course. Then that's the only part where I will play the assistance of getting the legal aid board insofar as contacting him. Thereafter, my presence would have been, would have been out, my lord. In this instance, I was not involved and there was no need for me to be involved.
Kuyilungelo lakhe-ke umsola noma lowo-ke oboshiwe ukuthi-ke ayiqokele ummeli ozomsiza noma-ke ozommela uma kwakuwukuthi-ke wacela mina-ke noma asho ukuthi-ke udinga ummeli wombuso kwakula engangizomsiza khona-ke ukuthi nje atholeke ummeli loyo bese-ke kuyaphela-ke okwami lapho.
Thank you. The testimony before court, my understanding of it is that for the better part of his arrest, or immediately after his arrest, accused number 2 has spent most of the time with Sergeant Mohane and Mabena. Do I understand that in a context in which it should be understood?
I'm not sure, perhaps when the question is saying the better part. My understanding of the situation, he was arrested by the 2 members,
Yes.
and he was kept at the police station. Sergeant Mohane and Mabena were not stationed at those police stations where he was kept. So perhaps I don't understand, because if then you ask me where did he spend most of the time, I will say at the police station where he was detained, my lord. But perhaps I don't understand the context in which the question is being asked.
Mhlampe ke angizwa kahle ukuthi umbuzo ubuzwa kanjani uma kuthiwa ke isikhathi esiningi esichitha naye ke uSergeant Mabhena kanye noSergeant Umukhanye ngoba ke ebegcinwa ke noma bevalelwa ke epolice station bona ke abekho kulezo police station lezo. Mhlampe ke umbuzo lo engawuzwa kahle.
Thank you. Now, did you at any point receive a report from Mr. Mukhanye, another team member, that there was a request that came from accused number 2 to them to make a phone call to his legal representative?
No, I don't think that was communicated. I have no recollection of that, my lord.
Angikhumbulike lokho noma ngikhumbula ngitshelwa ukuthi ke kwakunesicelo esenziwa uyena ke umsolo kulamaphoyisa ke ukuthi ke ufisa ukuthi axhumane nomneli.
Thank you. And just to confirm that, that is also not the testimony of Mr. Mukhanye. He never told Sergeant Mukhanye, he never told this court about that incident. Thank you.
Understood, my lord.
Now, is there an instance in you trying to collaborate, whatever that you could have been collaborating, in which you found that accused number 2 requested at the police station or at the various police stations where he was housed an indulgence to make a call to call his legal representative?
So the answer, my lord, is no, and that's the first part. To answer it specifically. Secondly, the corroboration I was referring to relates to Exhibit HH and JJ. What is contained there, not the circumstances of his arrest and where he was kept. It's in relation to Exhibit HH and JJ, my lord, specifically.
Examine kwakho ukuthi uhlanganiseke lokho okuhlanganisa ke ingaba wathola yini ukuthi ke umsolo wesibili wacela ke ukuthi axhumane nommeli wakhe. Cha, ngizophinda ngisho ke kodwa ke uma bengikhuluma ngokuthi ke ngihlanganiseke ngangikhuluma ke ngezitatimende lezi HH kanye ke no JJ, ngingakhulumi ke ngezimo mala nokuboshwa kwakhe noma izimo aboshwa phansi kwazo.
The only time, my lord, where I had to look at the circumstances surrounding his detention and where he was kept, it's when I was making arrangements to get the OB, the occurrence book, the ACP 14s, and the ACP 14 insofar as his detention, my lord, and the condition in which he was detained. That was in preparation of the case and subsequently for the trial within trial. So those are the time. But the issue of the attaining and where instructions, how, like I said, my lord, I felt it's not a space that I should get into, my lord.
Kodwa la khona ke engabheka khona ke manje izimo mayelana nokuboshwa kwakhe noma beoyivalelwe ngaphansi kwazo ke ila engangisengibheka khona noma ngifuna khona ke incwadi ke ama SAP 13 nama occurrence book lokho ke kodwa ke okuhlangene nommeli wakhe ngacabanga nje ukuthi ke ayisikona ke la ekufanele ngiye khona lapho.
Thank you. Now, when you went through those occurrence books from the police station and other registers, did you ever find a hint that accused number 2, there was a point at which he approached those the guys at the police station and requested them to make a call to his attorney? That should have been described, but so if it ever happened.
Well, yes, it's supposed to be, my lord. So
Yes.
so the answer is no, and the book that was used for legal services, my lord, for legal consultation, because the legal visits are documented in a different book than your occurrence book. That book, my lord, we did not succeed to find. So I didn't get a confirmation of that. The only book that we've got is the occurrence book. However, I can confirm, my lord, because I observed the section 205, and in the phone that was found in possession, or alleged to be found in possession of accused 2, there is a communication with Mr. Mtiako's number there with accused 2 on a certain date, my lord, and we can go into those records if perhaps there's a misunderstanding in that part.
Kodwa ke uma ke manje ke usubheka ke khona yini la owathola khona ke ukuthi ke kwaba khona ukuxhumana phakathi kwakho umsola kanye futhi ke nommeli ikhona-ke incwadi esetshenziswayo-ke la khona-ke kuza abameli noma umuntu ezobona ummeli wakhe akusetshenziswa-ke ama-occurrence book noma khona-ke incwadi esetshenziswayo, kodwa leyo ncwadi-ke siphumelelanga ekuthini siyitholeke. Kodwa uma-ke ngingaqhubeka-ke ngithi-ke uma kuba wona-ke ama-section 205 kuwona umakhalekhukhwini owatholakala kuyena umsola wesibili, la kwabonakala khona-ke ukuthi wakhona uxhumana aye nakho kanye naye umjiyako.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's getting nicer. When was that call made? According to your analysis of that information.
My lord, I don't remember the specific details. Like I said, it's in the section 205. I know that my attention was drawn into that when the analyst was analyzing to say this number and this communication is there. I think it's a please call me, if I recall correctly, my lord, to the attorney or vice versa. But my recollection, I think it was a please call me sent from accused 2 number to the attorney's number, and I can confirm that, my lord, obviously if specifics are needed.
Ukuthi-ke kwenzeka nini-ke lokho kwafanele ngibheke-ke, kodwa ngiyazi nje ukuthi uxhumana kwakukhona-ke, nokuthi-ke umcwaningi wangikhombisa-ke lokho ukuthi-ke noma umsolo wesibili okuyena owathumela please call me kummeli, kodwa kwakhona nje ukuxhumana okwakukhona.
That number which accused number 2 allegedly sent a please call me to, which is now associated with Mjiyako, who confirmed that that was Mr. Mjiyako's number?
I think it's listed on even on the what do you call this, my lord, LPC or some of the documents that we have. That's where we got the number from. It's there. It's not in dispute that it's Mr. Mjiyako's number, my lord, in the documents that are available.
Manje-ke inamba leyo-ke okuthiwa iyona-ke ekwathunyelwa kuyona please call me, ubani-ke owayiqinisekisa ukuthi inamba kaMjiyako leyo? Ngicabanga ukuthi khona-ke nakwincwadi-ke leyi LPC akusiyona-ke into ephikwayo noma ephikiswayo-ke ukuthi inamba yakhe uMjiyako.
Or if not the LPC, my lord, his company's letter, but I know it appears in those documents, that cell phone number.
Noma-ke kuyona-ke incwadi yenkampani yakhe, kodwa ngiyazi nje ukuthi leyo number ikhona lapho.
So you're speaking, you're not sure, you're taking a guess.
That's a good piece of note. All this evidence has been placed on record. I don't know why this witness is now expected out of his memory to remember those details. If counsel is interested in that information, the evidence is there. Reference can be made to the witness. It cannot be expected of this witness now to rehash those details out of his memory.
That is the purpose of a cross-examination, to test the reliability and the credibility of a witness. He's just mentioned here that he's not so sure. That is basically speculation. I cannot be circumscribed in instances where I am endeavoring to test the credibility and the reliability of the testimony of a witness to say that if I am interested in a particular information, then where should I go? I don't cross-examine myself. I am cross-examining this witness. Thank you, madam. I don't know if there's a follow-up to my response.
Now, like we said, the evidence is on record. This witness is now expected to, out of his memory, to remember what is on record. We are saying if counsel is interested in there, the record is there, they get the running transcript, he can refer to the evidence. Now, this witness is saying, I'm not sure whether the confirmation came as a result of a letter from the LPC or his practice letterhead. Now, he's being told that he's speculating. The evidence is there. It cannot be expected of this witness to rehash that out of his memory.
Thank you, madam. Now you are saying you are not sure as to when that please call me thing from accused number 2 was made to this alleged Mr. Mjiyako, not so?
I don't remember the exact date,
Yes.
my lord. There's a difference of not being sure as whether what I'm saying could be true or not. I know it was made. I know it's there. What I'm not certain of is the date. Secondly, my lord, with regards to the location of the number, when I'm saying I'm not sure, I'm not saying I'm not sure that there is such a confirmation. I'm simply saying I'm not able to place this confirmation either at the LPC or his company's letterhead, but I know the number is there. That of I'm certain, my lord.
Engikushoyo lana ukuthi ke ngiyazi ukuthi ke inamba leyo ikhona ke inamba yakhe ke umjiyakho ukuthi nje kunale incwadi ke incwadi le ebuya ke eLPC noma kunale ebuya futhi ke kuyona ke icompany yakhe angazi nje ukuthi yipi kuze kodwa ngiyazi ukuthi kwenye yalezo incwadi lezo inamba leyo ikhona ibhaliwe lapha.
That is exactly what I was warning about, Mr. Gininda, Brigadier Gininda earlier on. Then if you don't understand my question, can you please request me to repeat it? I am saying to you, we are not sure as to when that call was made, not whether this number is reflected in the books of LPC or what, but the period, the time at which this call was made, we are not sure. That is my question.
As a please, my lord. We will, and we don't want to interfere with Advocate Mnisi's cross-examination. The evidence is on record. We called Ms. Fathinningham. She handed in the cell phone records. The Section 205s are there. Why should we be debating this point when the evidence is on record? We have it in black and white. We should be referring to that evidence instead of, expecting of Brigadier Gininda now to confirm something that is already on record.
It's about credibility and reliability, Mario. There is nothing wrong in my question. If I ask this witness and ask him, he is not sure. It's simple for him to say, yes, I am not sure, or I am sure. This is the time at which that call was made. I don't know what is the state's worry about it, Mario. But nonetheless, let us proceed. Thank you. Brigadier, now this is more of a legal aspect. When an attorney says, I am lawfully authorized to represent a person, there are documents that must have been signed by the person that he claims to be representing. You may not know this. This is what I'm telling you. Those are those documents are the power of attorney and a letter of instruction. Now that is just by way of a background. And do you follow? And do you understand?
My lord, I do follow, I understand,
Thank you.
and I know of these forms. I am aware. Contrary to what Advocate Mnisi is saying, I am aware that instructions will be given and they will be written down, my lord.
Incwadi ke okhuluma ngazo ukuthi ke kunencwadi ke ekufanele zibe khona ke noma igcwaliswe ke uma kuwukuthi umsolo wakhe uqoka ummeli ngiyazazi ke lezo ncwadi lezo okhuluma ngazo.
Now, I know that I do not represent Mr. Tansi, but I have been following the proceedings here in court. And the following questions would not be based on a specific instruction that come from Mr. Tansi, but will be based on what I have heard, which is already on record, and what transpired here at court. And I'm doing this solely because I'm an officer of the court trying to assist this court to come to an equitable finding. Do you understand?
I understand, my lord.
Thank you. Now, and I don't want to put the cart before the horses, but you would realize that up to this point where we are, there's been no letter of authority, a letter of representation and a power of attorney that has been made available to the court as confirmation that Mr. Msinyati, no. Mr. Mchiyako was lawfully representing accused number 2. Would you agree with that?
So, my lord, firstly,
Before Brigadier Gininda answers, there's no such obligation on the state or anyone else except the client to produce such proof. The client is the only one who would have, it's between client and attorney. The client is the only one who would have such document. How can it now be that proposition be put to Brigadier Gininda when this is attorney-client privilege? These are not documents that are in the public domain.
As it is the court, my lords, I think the state misunderstands my trajectory. In instances where the client says, I do not know that legal representation, he basically saying, I do not know him. It then becomes incumbent upon the state to come and say, if they want to rely on the assertion that you are represented by this and this and this person, it therefore becomes incumbent upon the state to come and say, you know what, or make an application to the court and say, can the court please grant us the indulgence to piece the attorney and client thing? Yes, a privilege. And the court will grant. But nonetheless, my lord, nonetheless.
Inviolable constitutional right of the client.
May the court please just listen to what I'm saying, my lord, up to its finality. Yes. The client says, I do not know this gentleman. He never represented me. I never signed any document. Yes. Thank you, my lord.
They say that.
We are together, my lord. Thank you.
And as a court, please, my lord, the state did, as we've repeatedly said, lay the evidence of Ms. Fathillingham, and I just want to quote from the record of the 26th of June 2024,
No, but that
page
is
11.
procedural, my lord. Mr. Valo, you will have the indulgence to re-examine. This is my rostrum. This is my time now. If he feels that there is something that I've said which is not compatible with what the record says, he will have the opportunity to go back to that aspect in re-examination. He cannot just, in the midst of me being busy with my cross-examination, and then start to refer the court to some sections
I
in the
don't know what
record.
he wants to refer the court to. So you only allow him to say what he wants
No,
to say.
I already know, my lord.
Oh, you already know?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Because he has already mentioned that there's a testimony of Mrs. Vitillingham, which has got to do with some cell phone, I think,
I
communication.
thought he's quoting from the record.
Yes,
Oh, I see.
but that is what I'm saying, my lord.
Okay,
This,
fine.
now, this is my time to
Okay,
cross-examine.
fine, let's go on.
If he wants to raise it, re-exam is coming.
Okay.
Thank you, my lord. It's a pity that my flow gets interrupted here now and again. But nonetheless, I remain steadfast.
So, my lord, what I wanted to say
Yes.
in response to that is that, firstly, as I indicated, my understanding, and I respect those boundaries, there's attorney-client privilege. It is not for me to detect as to who the accused or suspect must appoint and why did I appoint that person. That's the first part.
Okokuqala ngiyakuhlonipha-ke okuphakathi kommeli kanye nalowo ammele ukuyena-ke umsolwa noma lowo oboshiwe ukuthi ubani amqokayo-ke okokuqala lokho.
And it is not for me to request the written instructions or mandate from the suspect to say, show me the proof that you know I've never done that, my lord.
Akukho kumina-ke ukuthi ngithi kumsolwa-ke noma lowo oboshiwe-ke ukuthi ngicela ungikhombiseke incwadi noma-ke okubhaliwe-ke okuyisiqinisekiso sokuthi-ke ngempela uqoke yena-ke lo mmeli angikaze ngikwenze lokho.
And that, my lord, in other words, it continues. It's not an isolated incident when it comes to Mr. Mjiyako. So after Mr. Mjiyako, there was Mr. Tobane, and then later Advocate Tifo. Subsequent to them, then there was Mr. Ramsipili. None of these legal representatives have ever approached and say, give me the proof that you have a legal mandate to this person. In fact, my lord, at some stage, both Mr. Ramsipil and Mr. Tobane were before court, and it was not clear as to whose who mandate is on. I never said now, because there's this confusion that you are here, you said you have a mandate from the family, and this one still thinks he's got a mandate. Give me proof as to how you got this mandate. And I'm referring to Mr. Ramsipil specifically. I never asked that, my lord, because it's the constitutional right for the accused person to appoint whoever he so pleases and to terminate whatever mandate he wants to terminate.
Lokhu ke akukho nje mayelana ngaye ke umjeko kuphela ke kwenzeka ke lokhu ngizokhuluma ngaye ke uMr Ramsipile kwabe kukhona futhi naye ke uMr Thobani futhi ke singekho ke isiqiniseko omnyethi ke umndeni ungiqokileke angikaze nakubona ke ngiye kubona ke ngithi ngoba ke khona ke manje lokungabaza okukhona ke ngicela ubona incwadi ke ethi ngempela ubani okuyena oqokiwe ekufanele angikaze ngikwenze lokho angikhulumi nje ngomjeko kuphela.
That's my response, my lord.
Thank you, sir. Brigadier Gininda. The circumstances are totally different. We are talking here on instance where accused says, I do not know that man. I never gave him mandate to come represent me. With these latter instances that you're referring to, Tobane, Mr. Ramusipili, and who's the other one? Mr. Tefu. There are no such allegations that are coming from accused, but nonetheless, the circumstances are totally different.
No, I disagree, my lord. Yes, I forgot, my lord, Mr. Ngomezulu as well. But also, my lord, I wanted to say I disagree with what Advocate Mnisi is saying. And I dealt with this part during my evidence during the trial within trial,
yes,
where I said when accused 2 specifically appeared in court, he was legally represented by Mr. Mjiako. And we even went through the records or the transcript of the proceedings of the 27th of October. There was no way where he said, I don't know this advocate or this counsel, my lord. It's there. We dealt with this part.
Ukhuluma ngezimo ezahlukeneke ke lana ngoba lapho labo babalayo ke uMr Ramsipile, uThobane, uadvocate uTefo, akukho la kunomsolo khona ke owathi cha angibazi ke labameli, kodwa lana ke kumjeko sikhuluma ngomsolo ke othi cha angimazi lo mmeli akakazi angaze ngimqoke ke mina. Akusilona iqiniso lelo ngoba sikhulumile ke lokho kunala umsolo ayovela ke phambi kwemanje wamelwa uyena ke umjeko akukho la khona ke enkantolo athi khona cha akusiyena ummeli wami lo angimazi.
As it pleases the court, my lord. Now, as I indicated earlier on, that I hold no specific instruction in this regard, but this is, I am saying this in view of the evidence that is already on record. I'm discerning this from the testimony that is already on record. As I'm saying, I hold no specific instructions from accused in that regard. I think that should be put beyond doubt, my lord. That I'm not taking over the representation of Mr. Ntanzi. Thank you. Let us proceed. Now, you are being requested by a commissioner. By the way, who's the commissioner that you said requested you to take over this case, because it was now, it's been years that it has, things have not been happening in this case? Sithole.
Yeah, I'm not so sure how I put the instruction that he gave me, my lord, but it was the former National Commissioner, General Sithole.
Thank you.
National Commissioner.
Angisakhumbula ukuthi ngitheni ke uma ngikusho ke lokho, kodwa ngishilo ke ukuthi kwakuyena ke uGeneral uSithole owathi ke owangiqoqa ukuthi ke angiqhubeke ngalelo cala.
Thank you. General Sithole says to you, Brigadier Gininda, we seated with a bit of an embarrassment on our desk here because there's an incident that happened in 2014 and up until now it's 2019. There's nothing that seems to be happening. Can you please come and assist? And as a diligent officer of the South African Police Services, you said, no, it's fine. I am up to the task. Not so. Just to give a very brief summary. I'm not saying those are the exact words which were used.
Yeah, yes, my lord, but the summary is also not accurate. So the interaction, firstly, let's deal with the year accurately, was 2018 because I signed for the docket on the 12th of November 2018. That's the first part.
Okokuqala ke nje isifinyezo lesi ke esenziwe ke asiqondile ke ngoba ke asiqale ngonyaka ke kwangasena ke u2019 uma ke uGeneral Khehla sithole ekhuluma nami ke manje nalecala kwakungu2018 ngoba uma ngiqala ukuthi ngilisayindele idokoti kwakunge 12 November 2018.
Secondly, my lord, it was a mandate. Police officers are given instructions, not that you have a view to say, yeah, I can do it or no, I can't do it. It was a mandate from the national commissioners to say they have decided to appoint me to lead a team, not Brigadier Gininda, to say you will work with this team under this unit, the cold case unit. So it was myself, and I dealt with this aspect, my lord, to say there was Lieutenant Colonel Ramohala, Warrant Officer Makubo, and Lieutenant Colonel Buteles, who were seconded to assist in so far as this matter is concerned. So it was not an isolated thing to say it is you who must now deal with this matter, go and assemble your team. I was not given that mandate. I was given an instruction. This is the matter that has been, the police has been seized with, which is unresolved. We are appointing you to lead the team. You will work with these two other members that are seconded under the cold case unit, my lord. That's how it came about.
Okwenzeka ke lana ukuthi ke manje ke kase kuphuma ke izwi ke noma senitshelwa ke ukuthi ke aba national office bathathe isinqumo ke sokuthi mina ngizohola ithimba akuthi kwakuzoba yimina kuphela ke bese mina ngiyahamba ke ngiyoqokela elami ithimba ke kwathiwa ke kuzoba wena uBrigadier Gininda, uRamuhala, uMakhubo kanye futhi ke noButhelezi, mina ke ngizohola lelo thimba lelo ukuthi ke kusetshenzwe kulona lelicala leli.
And yes, my lord, I complied with that instruction.
Ngabe senami ngiyavuma ke kuloko engakutshela.
Thank you. Brigadier, before I forget, there's an issue that has been pending here that relates to Exhibit XX, that warning form statement. I think we will revisit that issue and other issues that will arise thereon or thereat, as and when you will be making available those other forms of the warning statements and stuff like that. I just wanted us to be clear on that one, that it has not been finalized. It's just put in abeyance. Thank you.
Understood, my lord.
Thank you. Then after having assembled a team that you had to work up with, you started to investigate. And then fortuitously, you stumbled upon Constable Zungu.
Yeah, in essence, my lord.
Yes.
Yebo ke ithimba lelo seliqokiwe ke siphenya ke sabe yebo ke sesihlangana naye ke noma finyelela kuyena ke uConstable Zungu.
Now, having stumbled across Constable Zungu then gives you information which was a lead to which then was a lead to what is now happening here at court, not so?
I suppose, my lord.
Thank you.
I suppose, but the proper sequence, my lord, like I've said, and I've dealt with this part, it refers to his father. The father comes on board, Mr. Absalom Zungu, and then a statement is then taken, which initially leads to 1 and 2, and then from 2, then the other accused are then picked up in terms of the name 3, 4, 5, my lord.
Bese ke manje senikhulumise noma senihlangane naye ke uZungu waholela lokho ke kulokho ke manje esibhekene nako ke la phambi kwenkantolo ngicabanga kanjalo kodwa ke ukulandelelana kokwenzeka kwezinto ke kungendlela bengisho ngayo ukuthi ke kwaba ubaba wakhe uConstable Zungu uMr Absolom Zungu kwaqala ke lapho ke kwakhomba ke kumsolo wokuqala kanye nowesibili emuva kwalokho kwasekulandela ke u3 4 kanye no5.
Thank you. Now, on several occasions, you had told this court that in terms of your investigation of this case, the conspiracy to assassinate the deceased Senzo Meyiwa, with regard to the planning and everything, took place at the hostel, not so?
Yes, my lord.
Kumasandla amaningi ke ushilo ke ukuthi ke ukuhlanganyela ke ukuthi ke umkondo ube wodwa ke noma ke kukhulunyisane ke ukuthi ke khanjwe ke kuyobulawa yena ke uSenzo kwenzeka lokho ehostel yebo kuyiqiniso.
Thank you. Now, the planners, who were the planners of this plot?
My lord, what we have, and we have in terms of the statements that we touch base on, we have it in the confession of accused 2, is the accused before court that we can place in the hostel. The name of Ms. Kelly Kumalo as a trigger point is mentioned, but she's not at the hostel. So the only people that are placed at Basutini hostel is the 5 accused, my lord.
Manje ke uma kukhulunywa ke ngabantu okuyibona ke abahlala phansi ke base behlanganyela ke bekhuluma ke ngeinhlelo ke noma behlela ke kona lokhu kwakuwobani lokho sikhulumile ngabo ke ukuthi ke abantu ababehlangene ke noma bese hostel ke kwakuyibona abasola abahlanu phambi kwenkantolo liyavela ke igama lakhe uMiss Kelly Khumalo kodwa yena ke wayengekho ke khona lapho ehostel abantu bese hostel abasola labo bahlanu phambi kwenkantolo.
Thank you. When was this planned?
But my lord, we have statements, and unless then Advocate Mnisi wants me to go there, because then it will go to other people that are not before court, who indicates who said what at what stage. If that is the question, and I'm expected to answer it, then I'll go to those specifics. But then I'll have to refer to the statement so that there's no dispute.
Manje kwakuwobani ke abahleli noma abantu ke ekuyibona ke abakuhlela ke lokhu uma ke ngibuza loyo mbuzo ke kuzofanele ke siye manje kuyistatement ke istatement zabantu abangekho ke la phambi kwalenkantolo ekuyibona ke abakushoyo lokho.
So you are saying that the planning took place at the hostel, and you are basing that on number 1, on the confession, on the alleged confession that was found from accused number 2.
That's correct, my lord. But also statements of 1 or 2 individuals who makes reference to the events of that day, my lord, when the incident took place.
Manje ke uthi ke lokho kushoyo ukuthi kwahlelwa ke lokho futhi kuhlelwa khona noma kwakhulunywa ke ngako kwenzeka ehostel uthi ke lokho ukuthatha ke kwi statement lesi ekuthiwa isona ke sokugonyuluka sakhe umsolo wesibili yebo kanye futhi ke nomuntu oyedwa noma ababili ke nabo ke abashoyo ke ukuthi ke lokho kwenzeka ke futhi noma kwenzeka kuphi nendawo.
Thank you. Now, subsequent to the information that you received from Constable Zungu, you proceeded with your investigations, got what you got, and ultimately, accused number 3 got to be part of those people who were fingered and eventually arrested and charged with the commission of these offenses, not so?
It is so, my lord.
Manje uyasho ke ukuthi kwakhulunyiswana naye ke uZungu uphenyo laqhubeka ke lokho kwaholela ke uthini ke umsola wesithathu kube umunye wabantu ke abakhonjwayo ke ukuthi babe yingxenye ke yokwenziwa kwalokhu yebo kuyiqiniso.
Just for the record, it's not Constable Zungu, it's Mr. Absalom Zungu that provided the information. Council is referring to information obtained from Constable Zungu. That is not what the witnesses said.
No, I'm talking about Constable Zungu. I do not know Absalom Zungu. Constable Zungu was here testifying. I haven't referred to Absalom Zungu. And this witness has actually said yes, he has always been saying yes, correct, correct, correct. So I'm not so sure what then the state's worry about me referring to Constable Zungu. I'm not so sure if I may proceed. Oh, I thought the state would want to make a follow-up. Okay, no, thank you, madam. Now, accused number 2 also gets arrested because of the then information that you received from Constable Zungu and got charged as part of the plotters to kill Senzo Meyiwa, not so?
Yes, my lord.
Thank you.
Yes, my lord. Yes, but let me put this because I don't want you to go incorrectly. When I say yes, Constable Zungu, it's in the sense that Constable Zungu is the first person who came to the office of the National Commissioner alone. So he brought the information, but then mentions his father, who then came before. From the time he arrived to the time his father came, there wasn't really much that we were doing because there was no statement. Only on the 17th of November. 2018, then the father came and a statement then kicked in. This is now of Mr. Absalom Zungu. The one of Constable Zungu, my lord, came into existence last year, my lord, and I dealt with this part and I indicated that it came into existence because as I was investigating, or we were investigating, his name keep on cropping up as the person who was also present in this gathering at the hostel on the day of the incident. That's how it came about. So all I'm saying is that the sequence of events, it is not that Constable Zungu is the one who gave us indication to say 1 and 2. He only brought information to say, I have this information that implicates the 2 people based on the information I received from my father. And I wanted to see the father, my lord. And that was done on the 17th of November, as I've said. I've indicated, my lord, that we met. There was a struggle to find the father, but eventually on the 13th of November 2018, we met with Constable Zungu, with Brigadier Perumal, and that is where it was confirmed that the father is willing to make a statement. Arrangements were made on the 17th of November. The father came and disposed the statement. This is where now the citing of 1 and 2 was then confirmed under oath, and then we moved accordingly, my lord.
Manje ke selenziwe ke uphenyo emuva kokuthi kukhulunyiswane ke naye ke uZungu uyaboshwa ke umsolwa ke wesibili ke ngokuthi ke uyingxenye ke yalabo ekuyibona ke abahlela lokho. Yebo ngithi yebo ke, kodwa ke uma ngithi yebo ke ngiyafuna ukuthi ngichazeke ukuthi kwenzeka kanjani ukuthi ke yebo uConstable Zungu umuntu wokuqala oweza ke, kodwa ke awasitshela kona yasitshela nje ukuthi ke lokhu ayesitshela kona into ayithola kubaba wakhe, base ukuthi ke manje kudingeka ukuthi kuzeke ubaba wakhe. Impela ke ubaba wakhe weza ke uma ubaba wakhe eza kwakungazo i-17 zika November ngo-2018, yena ke uZungu esakhe statement esatholakala kunyaka ondlule, kodwa kwakuyi statement esika baba wakhe esaholela ke ekuthini kuboshwe yena ke umsolo wokuqala kanye nowesibili. Bese kuthi ke i-13 zika November 2018 ila esihlangana khona ke naye uZungu kanye noBrigadier Peruman esesitshela ukuthi ngempela ubaba wakhe uyimisele ukuthi eze.
Thank you. Now let's go a bit back. Now, before the arrest of accused number 3, it is common cause that this case was initially investigated by other members of the South African police. Would you take this court through the process of you acquiring that initial case docket from them? Or let me put it this way. Did you have sight of the case docket that was initially investigated by the first team?
Yes, my lord. So, if I understand correctly, and Advocate Mnisi will correct me if perhaps I'm misunderstanding him,
yes.
The docket that is before court, the docket that I inherited on the 18th of November 2018 is the same docket that was investigated by the previous investigator. So I inherited that docket and carried on with the investigation.
Ingabe ke siyazi ke ukuthi kwakunethimba ke elaliphenya ngaphambi kokuthi ke uqoqwe wena ke ingaba ke idokodo leleko walithola ke kulo thimba yini? Yebo, idokodo leli ke ekuyilona phambi kwenkantolo yilona leli engalithola ke kulabo ababekhona ke bephenya ngaphambi kokuthi uqoqwe mina.
Thank you. We are together there. Now, subsequent to the receipt of the case docket, is it correct that then you went through that case docket to find out if there is something or things or statements or form of information in that case docket which would assist you to carry out the mandate that came from General Sithole?
So the initial part, my lord, as I indicated, was first to establish, because that's what we're seized with, to establish as to whether they were intruders or no intruders. That was a primary task that, for me, that was a kick-off point, because there was, as I've said earlier, my lord, this assertion or allegations that there may have been no intruders. Once that part was cleared on my mind, that indeed, and based on the fact that I've articulated to this court, my lord, that they were intruders, then the process of trying to find the so-called perpetrators was then embarked upon, my lord.
Okokuqala ke bengikushilo ke lokho ngaphambilini ukuthi ke kwakuwubheka ke noma ke futhi kwakuyikona ke esasikutsheliwe ke lokho ukuthi ke asiqiniseke noma sithola ke ukuthi babe khona yini abangena ke endlini, ngoba ke kwakuwukuthi ke kufuneka ukwazi ke ukuthi ngempela kwangena abantu noma cha. Yilapho ke ngaqala khona ke uma ke manje sekutholakele ke lokho noma sikutholile ukuthi ngempela ke bakhona abantu abangena, kwakumanje ke ukuthola ke labo bantu labo ekuyibona abakwenza lokho.
And that exercise, my lord, was extended to the other members as well, to say collectively, but individually, not sitting together so that we don't influence each other. We should actually look into the docket individually and then come up with the views based on evidence as to whether they were intruders or no intruders, and then work the investigation according to that, my lord. In other words, the drafting of the investigation plan would have been motivated by the facts of whether there were no intruders or they were intruders.
Futhi ke nokuthi ke manje sikhulumisane ke siyithimba ukuthi ke umuntu futhi ke azenzeleke singahlanganyeli ke lokho ukuthi ke omunye manje ebese thola umthelela komunye, ukuthi ke siqiniseke noma sithola ukuthi ngempela babe khona yini abantu abangena, bese ukuthi manje ke iplan ke yalo uphenyo ke izohamba ke ngokwaloko esikutholile.
Yes, I'm done, my lord, sorry.
Thank you, sir. So amongst others, the reason why you ultimately had to conclude that they were indeed intruders, it was because you went through the statements of the witnesses who were in the house, not so?
No, not really. As I've said, my lord, the people who were in the house were questionable to me. So I didn't really want to rely on. I wanted to rely on the circumstances around them to see if there's credence or there's evidence to support what is being alleged. So what I relied on was the statements of the neighbors. If we talk about statements, my lord, was the reliance of the cell phone, which I've indicated, my lord, that it was picked up at a different tower when everyone else could be accounted for at the hospital. It was the issue of the DNA, my lord, where I said there was a DNA which excluded the people who were in the house, because one would have expected that if there were no intruders, that DNA that was found in the house should have been read into the people who were in the house. But there was a DNA that was picked up there which excluded everyone in the house. What it indicated, there was a donor except the people who were in the house. So I looked at the statements of the neighbors and I tried to look at the forensic evidence in the form of the cell phone tower in relation to the phone that was alleged that it was robbed, the movement of Mr. Longe's Twala insofar as the tracking system of how it went, my lord, and the DNA, because those for me were reliable, were credible. That was credible evidence. But in addition, then I looked at the neighbors, which in my view, my lord, as I said, I couldn't find reasons to believe that these people could be influenced. Then yes, indeed, what those people said, I then matched it with what the people were saying in house. But my focus was not on them, because at that stage, I was not sure as to whether, what they were saying was the truth or not at the beginning, my lord.
Ekuqaleni ke kwakhona ke naba ke ngangingancikanga uyitatimende zabantu ababesendlini ke ngoba ke kwakukhona ke ukusola ke ngakumina ke futhi ke ngingazi ukuthi noma lokho abakushoyo kuyiqiniso noma cha ngabheka ke itatimende zabo makhelwane ke ngoba ngithola ke noma ke kunento ethi ke bona ke akukho la noma ke okunomthelela kubona ke nokubheka ke futhi ke itower nokuthi ke i-cellphone noma ke umakhala ekhukhwini lo ekuthiwa uwona ke thathwa ke khona lapho ukuthi wawukuphi ke yena ke uMr Longwethwala manje ke base ngihlanganisa ke nalokho okuyikona ke okushiwo abantu ababesendlini ke futhi nobheka futhi ke omakhelwane kodwa hayi ukuthi nganginqike kulaba ababesendlini bese futhi ke sikhuluma ngalo ke ulibofuzo noma ke iDNA.
Brigadier, my question was, amongst others, you were assisted by the statements that you found in the docket, whose statement of the witnesses were in the house, to come to the conclusion that they were indeed intruders. That was my question.
Yeah, but my lord, that's what I was answering, that it was not really that, because those statements were questionable. It was only the corroboration at the later stage, the corroboration when I was now satisfied that these people outside, in addition to the evidence that I spoke about, that the scientific evidence, my lord, what these people are saying in bits and pieces corroborates with what these people inside the house were looking at. But for me to come to a conclusion or to a view that they were indeed intruders, I wasn't guided by the statements that were in the house, because the people who were in the house at that stage, my lord, were questionable. I was not sure whether what they were saying was the truth or not. So I wanted to be informed by reliable sort of like evidence or statements that at least I can count on, my lord, to say these people have no reason to lie. But yes, once that perception or understanding was formed, I then looked at what was contained inside the house in terms of the statements that were made, which then made me find a corroboration with what other people were saying outside, my lord.
Kodwa ke kuwona ke lo mbuzo engikuphendulayo ukuthi cha ngangancikileke kuloko noma kwitatimende zabantu ababesendlini ke ngoba ke mina kwakukhona ke ungabazi okwakukhona ke mayelana nabantu ababesendlini ukuthi lokho abakushoyo kuyiqiniso noma cha. Ingakho ke ngisho ke ukuthi ngase ngibheka ke manje izitatimende zomakhelwane ukuthi bona ke bathini, kamuva ke uma sengikuhlanganisa ke ngathola ukuthi impela lokho abakushoyo abantu abasendlini ngempela ke nabo omakhelwane basho khona lokho ukuthi ngizothola ke ukuthi ngempela bakhona abantu abangena noma cha.
Are you done with the explanation?
I'm done. The other part that I looked at, my lord, was the ballistic. I didn't mention it, which is forensic as well, that I looked at, my lord.
Okunye engakushongo ke engakhulumanga ngakho ke ubufakazi ke obuphathelene nebhanga phecelezi ke ballistic.
Yes, my lord. I'm done, my lord.
Thank you. Now, you just mentioned or indicated in your explanation that the statements of the people who were in the house were questionable. Can you explain how questionable were they and why do you say they were questionable?
I'm saying, my lord, they were questionable in relation to what I was seized with at the beginning, the fact-finding mission. Not that I read the statement and I said these statements are not the truth. I'm saying at the beginning it was a fact-finding mission, my lord, of establishing whether the people who were inside the house are telling the truth when they say they were intruders or they're actually lying. Because there was this cloud hanging around them, my lord, I didn't want to be contaminated by what they are saying. I wanted to rely on more reliable evidence around them. So the questionability, it's in that instance, my lord, not that I was saying what X and Y is saying is actually not correct. It was simply my view to say, because there's a cloud around these people, let me park them. Let me look at the preliminary investigations around these individuals, including, my lord, the first responding officers. I didn't touch base on them, Matebula and Mteto, those people, to say when they arrive at the scene, what first response or report was given to them. So it was to establish whether there's credence in what the people who were in the house were saying or not. So the unreliability is insofar as that, not what they said, my lord.
Uma ngithi ke kwakukhona ke uba nemibuzo ke noma ke khona ke ngibabaza ke mayelana nabantu ababesendlini, angisho ukuthi ke uma kuukuthi ke othize washo lokhu ngangithi mina ke akusilona ke iqiniso lokhu ngoba ke ngaleso sikhathi leso ke kwakuwukuthola iqiniso ukuthi ngempela kwenzekani ke ukubheka ngathi ke manje ngibahoqiseke laba ke ngibheke obunye ubufakazi ke ingakho ngikhuluma ngabo ke omakhelwane okunye futhi ke ngakushilo ilamaphoyisa ke afika aqala ke kwindawo yesigameko umathebula kanye nomthetho ukuthi lokho abakutshelwa yiba abantu laba besendlini ukuthi kuyahlangana yini ke nalokho ingakho ngisho ukuthi ke eqaleni kwakuwukuthola iqiniso ukuthi kwenzekani.
Yes, my lord.
Are you done?
Yes, I'm done, my lord.
Now, what is it that you found in their statements as you went through them, if you did, that made you to come and say that their statements were questionable?
My lord, I thought I answered it. I thought I dealt with it just now, that it wasn't insofar as what they were saying. I've answered it, my lord, that it was in relation to the fact-finding mission, whether they were intruders or not the analysis of what they were saying. I was not there. It was simply saying, these people, there's a cloud around them, that they may be lying, because that was the essence of what was being said. Because if there were no intruders, my lord, and yet the statements are saying they were intruders, the inference that one can draw without a shadow of a doubt is that these people are lying. So my mission, or rather my first point of departure, my lord, which I felt was important for the investigation team, was for us to be certain whether we are pursuing the people who were inside the house insofar as this matter is concerned, or we are looking for intruders. Hence I took the view, my view, that I'm going to ignore what these people who are inside the house are saying and look at objective evidence. And that is where now your forensics evidence comes in, your DNA, your ballistics, the AVL that I spoke about, my lord, the cell phone locations, in addition to the neighbors, because I wanted to be guided by that preliminary report, my lord, including the first responders, the call that came through, before the first responder came in. So it was based on that. So when I say the people who were inside the house, they were issued their statement, I'm not saying I read and found difficulties. I wanted to park them and be informed or guided by objective evidence, my lord, so to say.
Uma ngikhuluma ke ngabantu laba basendlini ngithi ke kwakukhona ke umbuzo ke noma ngabaza ke engikushoyo ukuthi ke kwakunaleli fuke la ekuthiwa khona ke noma ekucabangela kakhona ukuthi labantu kungenzeka ukuthi baqamba amanga ke manje ke kwakuwukubheka ke ukuthi lokho abakushoyo kuyiqiniso babe khona yini abantu abangena lapho ke endlini ingako ngisho ke ukuthi ke ngathi ke angibekeke lokho bakobo ngimeke ngaloko bonake abakushoyo ingako ngikhulumile ngobufakazi bama AVL ama cell phone locations kanye namaphoyisa oqala ekuyiwona afika ke lapho kwakuhlanganisa ke ukuthi ke laba basendlini basho lokho ingaba abanye abantu ke manje ke amaphoyisa oqala afika lapho atshelwani wona khulumani ama cell phone kanye futhi ke nayo iAVL hayi ukuthi ngangithi lokho ababekusho kwistatement zabo babeqamba amanga.
Sorry, my lord, when I say EVL, I'm actually referring to the tracking system in Mr. Long's toilet, just to use the right chronology of the words, my lord.
Uma ke ngikhuluma ngayo AVL ngisho ngayo ke ukutracka noma ke ukulandela ke i-tracking system mayelana naye ke uMr. Long wetwala.
Yes, I'm done.
Despite that long winding answer, you made it very clear, you said it very clear, that the statements of the people who were in the house who witnessed this incident were questionable. Now my question is very pertinent. What is it that you found in your statement when you went through them to make you say that their statements were questionable?
That's a good question. I think the witnesses explained at least on 3 occasions as to why he said that he elaborated. I don't know why he's been now asked the same question now for, I think, the 3rd or 4th time.
Yeah, 15 minutes.